As we've discussed before, I love the Ninja Turtles. It's part of my childhood, it's my earliest memories, the first movie I ever remember seeing in theaters multiple times. I love the action figures, I love the arcade game, I love everything about these turtles. And one thing has always eluded my collection, and that was a Turtles #1. Granted, I have a third printing, but it's still a Turtles nonetheless. And as we talked about in a previous video, I was totally lucky enough to stumble across a Raphael #1 that was already signed by Peter Laird. And I was lucky enough from our friends over at Presidio Comics who had a signing set up to go meet Kevin Eastman, as I've done before. They got my Turtles #1 and my Raphael #1 signed by both of them. So here's the kicker. I had sent in my Turtles #1 to get graded before by CBCS, but at the time they did not do magazine-size comics. Now they do. In fact, we're probably some of the first people to actually have magazine comics graded by CBCS. No secret, I sent these ones to get graded after they were both signed by Kevin Eastman. But what we're going to talk about today, we're going to find out those grades, because guys, guess what? They're here! If you already haven't done so, please take a moment to like and subscribe, and comment down below if you're into comics, traveling, Disneyland, tech, Tesla. That's what we mostly talk about this, but it's mostly just me and my family showing our lives a little glimpse in. So please take the time, like and subscribe and comment down below. So like I said, I was lucky enough that Eric sent them off to get them graded for me through their business account. And I was going to send them in myself, but since he did it, I got to have that yellow label on there. What he did for me, which was really cool, he actually put masking tape over the grades because I went and picked them up from him in a shop. And we're going to find out what those grades are together. I have my theories, I'm super excited, and we're going to talk about why one of these comics is unlike any comic you've ever seen before. Let's start off with the Turtles #1. Ha! So first off, we have a beautiful signature right here by Kevin Eastman, the co-creator, along with Peter Laird. Like I said, this is a third printing. I don't know how well you can see that on the label. And it says on there, Mirage Studios, February 1985, third printing, first appearance and origin of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Splinter, and the first appearance of Shredder. Wraparound Frank Miller homage cover. And for those of you who don't know, I write a comic book as well, and we actually had an homage cover ourselves, which is actually an exclusive cover for Eric in his former store, and that was inspired by this Ninja Turtles book. Whew, I'm actually nervous, guys. And this was actually, it even has on there, amateur what? Why does it say amateur no, we're going to skip right to it, because now that's got me a little nervous.
Because, okay. I want to come off, y'all. Ready? 3. Oh, I had nothing in that. Alright, let's check.
Whoa, so we actually got a restored. Why did we get restored? So I mean, this book is actually a little beat up. I was expecting like a 4.5 to a 5, so 5.5 right on. That was higher than I was expecting. Oh my goodness, so we got a restore. Oh, I actually think I do know what this is. I can't believe I get a restored label for that. When I purchased this, at the time of purchase, I did purchase it from Eric over at Presidio Comics. In fact, I kind of forced him to sell it to me. So he texted me just to brag, like, look what I got to sell. I was like, I'm on my way over. That's my book. Do not sell it to anybody else. Because this is the book I've been looking for years. Oh man. But first off, I gotta say, I actually really like these cases. I think the labels can be trimmed down a little bit more to fit the case nicer, but these are so much better than CGC ones. In fact, I'll show you a comparison toward the end of the video. But when I got it, when I was looking for it, when you held it at the right angle, there was a couple spots where it was obviously someone took a Sharpie to a couple corners of it in hopes to make it darker. But I can't believe I'd get a full-on restored label. You think it would just say like remarked or something. Oh, that's heartbreaking. They even said slight amateur restoration, which isn't as bad. That means it's not even noticeable or malleable. Like it is what it is, but oh, that stinks. But still, I mean, this is a valuable book and a rare book at that. And I think without the restoration, now that I see this got a 5.5, it probably could have got a 6 to a 7 without that amateur. Oh, that's so heartbreaking. But you know what? I'm not going to complain. I'm still lucky enough to have this book in my collection, and some people will never see this as long as they live. Oh, that's slightly irritating, but still amazing at the same time. I'm ambivalent. I don't know what to do. Oh, that stinks. Oh well. But you know what? Still super proud to have this in my collection. I now have 1 through 10 of the original Ninja Turtles series. And the next book we're going to talk about is the one that I say it's a book unlike you've ever seen before. Is Raphael #1, first appearance of Casey Jones in the first solo Turtles book. In fact, it even says on there, first appearance of Casey Jones, first solo turtle in his own title, and letters inside from Stephen Bissett and Stan Sakai. I didn't know Stan Sakai had a letter in here. For those of you playing along, that's like, Usagi Yojimbo, who later partnered with the Turtles. And it says verified signature Peter Laird and witness signature Kevin Eastman. That's right, this is signed by both creators of the Ninja Turtles. I stumbled across this originally in a secondhand bookshop here in Tucson called Bookman's, and I talked to them and negotiated a price, and then after I bought it, they said, oh yeah, someone signed the inside. And as soon as I opened it, I recognized that signature immediately. It was Peter Laird, who doesn't really do signings, or you don't see him at cons very often. So that's pretty amazing. Oh, I almost forgot. I got my cool little stand here. I meant to put the Turtles book on there. There you go. So we're talking about this one. That one's there. Oh, there we go. So that's pretty amazing in and of itself. And when I was trying to find like some similar ones, all I could find were books signed by Kevin Eastman, and they're asking, thousands of dollars because not a very common book. And more importantly, not really found to be signed by Kevin Eastman. I know what you're saying. I don't see the signatures anywhere. They're actually both on the interior, which is a very cool, old school way of comic book artists to sign. They didn't want to mess up all their hard work on the front. They would sign it usually on the inside on the titles page. In fact, when they got it signed for me by Kevin Eastman, he was like, I guess, tickled pink that not only did we have a book signed by Peter, that it was old school and signed inside. And he was so excited to do that. And that would meant a lot to me. But now let's find out that grade. When I first got it, I knew it was a little beat up, but still in pretty decent condition. So my first thought was, this is probably like a 6, 5.5, a 6. So let's find out what CBCS gave us. Hopefully, if this says restored anywhere on there, I'm going to lose my mind, because this is definitely not any restoration. And truth be told, I don't think that Turtles 1 over here qualifies for restoration either. So I might have to look at those grader notes to see exactly what it said. Okay. We got, sorry, that was really high. Hi! We got a 6.5 with off-white to white pages. That's awesome. That's better than I was thinking. So cool. This got a better grade than I thought. And the only real comp I found that's somewhat similar, it's actually a 9.6, so like the opposite grade of what I got. But they were asking an unrealistic amount of $10,000. Realistically, and people can tell me I'm wrong, and that's fine. Comment down below. Tell me what you think, and if you have something similar in your collection or something you've bought or sold recently that's comparable, I would love to know, because I'm ballparking here. Based on what I've seen online, sales for other autograph books and similar grades, I think for this one being signed by both creators of the Ninja Turtles, I'd probably ask $4,000 or $5,000 for this book. Now, is that realistic? Probably not. But is someone willing to pay it? Probably, because it's such a rare book, such a cool book, and it's signed by both people that created what's essentially my childhood and most of your childhood too, if you're watching this. Oh, that's so cool. So like I said, I promised you a book unlike what you've never probably seen before. And again, I really like these cases, but hey, let me grab one of those CGC books so I kind of show you back and forth what they kind of look like. So here we got our Turtles #1. As you see, it's a bigger case, and like I said, I'm a Turtles fan. I actually had a Turtles #1, a 4th printing that I got many years ago at San Diego Comic-Con, which if you see this before or right after San Diego Comic-Con, all my friends out there, good luck, I'm not going this year. But this is the old CBCS cases with their old pink labels, which I always thought that was a weird choice for the verified, but whatever. Kevin signed it on front, little turtle remark, and these cases were not the greatest. In fact, you can pop them open fairly easily. But these new cases are so much nicer, the magazine size. They're not as flimsy as you get with the CGC books. And on that note, let me show you a CGC book equivalent. Here you are with my Turtles #2. It's a 9.2, so fairly high grade, and it's a second printing. The first printing on these have got to be pretty expensive over the years. But the big thing is, I don't know how well you can hear it, there's creaking, because these are really pliable. In fact, I have a really rare Turtles #3 first printing and a 9.8, almost perfect. And the case got broke, and I don't know how. It's just been sitting in my CGC box pretty much since I bought it. How did it break? So I got to get that re-slabbed at some point here. But they're roughly the same size, same dimensions. This one is a little bit thicker overall. Actually, let's hold them side by side. So here is the CGC one, which is much thinner, and here is the CBCS, which is much thicker. But it's also much more sturdy. it looks like it's encapsulated and cased a little better, because like this one can slide around, just has these little plastic components holding it in place, where this one is actually sealed inside one of their plastic bins, so it's not going anywhere. It is good. So I'm gonna have to say, if you're looking to get your stuff graded and certified and encapsulated for protection, definitely gonna recommend CBC. My only knock against this experience with them is they're bragging about their new 30-day turnaround time, which is great, because that was always my complaint against them, because it took so long to get things back. First book I ever sent in was my Fantastic Four, number 32, signed by Stan Lee. It took me over a year, not exaggerating, 1 year to get it back. And I only got like a 2.5 on it, so it wasn't even worth it, but it's protected. But these cases, they've been bragging about the 30-day turnaround time. When Eric sent them in April, it was supposed to be 30 days, which turned into 2 months because of the volume and the size. They hadn't got the cases in just yet. Today is July the 14th. They just arrived today. So 3 months after the fact, and we were told it was only going to take about 30 days. Well, and that was our grade reveal for my 2 books. Like I said, I love the Ninja Turtles. They are my absolute, they really do define my childhood. And something that's really kind of cool and kind of cute is my oldest son, Henry, who we've had on the show before, has just recently discovered Power Rangers. And what makes that so cool is I was part of that first generation of Power Ranger fans. And now he's like, Daddy, I found more Power Rangers, finding more episodes on Netflix. So he knows dinosaur Power Rangers, real Power Rangers, the original Power Rangers, and all the other ones. So I think that's really cool. He's also really into Transformers right now. And hopefully this is something that he and I can share one day too, along with Charlie. And I want to close out by giving a special shout out. Thank you, Eric and Esperanza, for helping me get these books signed when y'all went to the Vegas Con. And thank you, Kevin Eastman, for taking the time to sign my books, and more importantly, really being into the fact that I had a book signed by Peter Laird. I love hearing that story, that he was just so into it and so tickled by it, because it was so cool to see it signed on the inside, but also to see a book signed by Peter out in the wild. So guys, thanks for taking another ride with us, and hopefully we take another ride again soon. Bye bye, everybody.